Hi, I'm Wayne Tuttle, and this is Chasing Legends. Welcome back. I'm Wayne Tuttle. I'll be your host yet again. So please hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications bell, leave a comment if you want to leave a comment, and go to our About section for represent.com, order a t-shirt, Dutch Hunter Rendezvous, Legend of the Superstition Mountains. We probably eventually be changing those out and coming up with something different here soon. So get them while they're still there and still available to you. So this week, I wanted to kind of take a trip back, but not back like we've been going way back. This will be probably just about a year in after we'd finished Legends, after it had aired. And during that time period, we'd done some scouting prior to the summer. And then we got through fall, winter. We came up where you have different contracts. We had a contract with A&E and History Channel. We had a contract with the production company. And one contract was coming up. And this is prior to us doing YouTube. I think this is about the time that Frank and I started talking about what do we want to do, where do we want to do something with all of this, or are we just all done with it? And regardless of what anyone says, it was hard to say. Everybody was still pretty much in contact with each other every few weeks or monthly. And Frank and I had been going out and doing some stuff, but it was kind of that, what do we want to do? So with everything we're navigating at that point in time, and you have to remember that there were agents, a couple agents from New York that are just going, well, you should sign with us because we'll find something and there'll be something for you somewhere. We can beat on some doors. And I wasn't interested in that. And I kind of promised the guys no matter what, we'd do Legends together. So then they're like, well, we'll represent you guys, but represent this. And then I'm getting, kind of inquiries for possibly us or two or three of us. And then I get inquiries for myself. And you got all these different conflicts. And I wanted to get out in the mountains where it just had nothing to do with any of that stuff. It seemed like everything had some sort of attachment. You run into somebody, this, that, or the other. So I wanted to make a trip where I just went walking around in the mountains. So I was going to go in at sunrise, come out at the end of the day. No agenda, no particular place. In fact, the original idea was to park at the Quarter Circle U, head across Barkley Basin, and go out kind of northeast and just off trail, just spend time where I knew probably I wouldn't see too many people. And when I got down in there, I can't remember what happened or what occurred, but I ended up going around down to First Water and parking. And I figured I'd go to Brush Corral Basin, and then I'll go over Bull Pass down into Marsh Valley, and I'll just go to a certain point, then I'll just turn around and come back. But there was no particular agenda, schedule, anything I really cared about. I just wanted to not think about everything. And that's always a nice thing to do. It's not so much clear your head or anything else. It's just you don't want to think about it. I don't need to clear my head. I just need to not. And I thought being in the mountains would be a good thing, and it was that day. So I made the trip in, went down Bull Pass, went out across Marsh Valley. And I'm thinking about the history and different aspects, and I wasn't thinking, oh, we could do this, we could do that. I was just kind of enjoying myself. And I really didn't see anybody that entire trip in. There were some people, but I think everybody was going down the second water trailhead through Garden Valley. So I seemed to be the only person going the route I was. So I got out there, and then I started coming back. And I remember coming up Bull Pass, and my legs were just done. But I realized it's pretty much just nice, easy, flat walking across the basin. And I knew there was a spot I liked across the basin that had a nice tree and a boulder I could sit on or sit back against. And I thought, I'm not in a hurry, so I don't need to really sit. I can just shuffle along, take small steps, whatever, smoke it, just take it easy. And I had been particularly that day anyways, because didn't matter how many miles, and I usually that doesn't even occur to me either.
is how many miles I've put in, or how far the distance, or how quick I'm getting in and out. There was nothing there. So I'm just moseying along would be the best term for it. And I get to that spot, and the day had warmed up, and I had a good sweat on, and so I sat down on the rock, whatever, put my pack down, decided to kick back and just enjoy. And it's very quiet. And I'm thinking, man, I haven't really seen anybody all day since I left the parking lot, so it's really nice out here. So I'm sitting there, and then I hear someone coming down the trail, and the spot where I'm at, you don't see them really until they come around, and I was kind of facing back more southeast. So then I kind of turned a little, look over, and there's a couple coming. They're probably in their late 60s, early 70s, and they're wearing those, I don't know what you call them, kind of like what you'd work out in kind of clothes or something, I don't know, spandex, like whatever they wear. And they're both kind of like grayish black colors and stripes. And the guy, the older gentleman, has orange mixed into his, like a fluorescent orange. And she had like an electric blue, and they kind of stood out. And they each got a hiking stick in each hand. And they got those hats that look like a baseball cap, but it's kind of like a weird thing. And they got the flap down the back and all. I'm not sure what you call those, but they're wearing those kind of silly hats and whatever, and I didn't pay attention to the logo they had, but they're just trucking along, and they come down. They're making a ton of noise, and right in that section, because there's a lot of rock and loose rock in the trail. So they come up, and they pause, and it was a very nice moment, just to begin with, because the gentleman turns to me and says, "Are you all right?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm perfectly fine." I said, and I told them, I think I put in just words, I just came up through Bull Pass and came across the basin, and I figured I'd take a little time here because I know I'll be out in about 40 minutes walking out this way. And I'm just taking my time, having a nice quiet day. And I figured that's going to be the end of it, because you're kind of saying, yeah, I was just enjoying the quiet and having a nice quiet day, thank you. And you can be on your way. And I'm not expecting at that point in time anybody to recognize me or anything, but I'm in my hat and I got my gear and stuff, and this guy's looking, and he looks up and down, he looks down, and he says, "Well, let me give you a piece of advice. Those shoes aren't going to do it. I've been out in these mountains for over 20 years. We've been hiking, and son, if you don't watch what you're doing, you're going to break an ankle. There's no way you're going to be able to come out here all these times and do that in those kind of shoes." And I looked down, and I got my high tops on, which I've hiked in my whole life. And I looked down, and I thought about replying, well, I always think the most comfortable thing you're wearing is the best thing for you, and I know how these shoes feel, and I pretty much day-to-day life and stuff, and I don't feel as athletic or as nimble or as light in my work boots, or like, and I just felt like and then I thought it wasn't worth it, and I said, "Thank you. Yeah, I'll think about that. Thank you." And they paused, and the woman's nodding, and I'm thinking, okay, so what am I being inspected here? And I don't know how many miles that is. I'd probably put in 6 or 7 miles, and I'm kind of tired, but I was kind of in my little serenity, tranquility moment. And I'm thinking, as they're standing there, I'm thinking, man, you guys are really busting this open. You guys suck. So I'm sitting there, and people run into me in the mountains, and most people do not know who I am, okay? I'll talk to them, I'll point things out, they'll ask me about something, but they have no clue. Rarely ever am I recognized in the mountains, which is funny because you'd think it's the one place people would always recognize me, and it happens occasionally, but so infrequently. And definitely in the backcountry and on the trails, you think that's where it might come around. But I pretty much can guarantee I could go up to the Apache Kid Cave, the Wave Cave, or the Flatiron, and sit amongst a group of people, and they would have no clue. They probably had watched the show. They have no clue I'm sitting there. There's just, for some reason, you don't expect the very person that you could see in television being there in that place, which is kind of moronic, but So anyways, they're standing there, and then he looks down and he goes, and I'd give you another piece of advice, son. And I'm like, oh, great. Oh, boy, this is good. I'd leave that pea shooter at home, because nothing's going to come of that but trouble. You're going to get yourself killed in here. You need to get yourself a good pair of boots, and you need to leave that thing at home. And I just kind of volunteered to say, well, it just has snake shot on it, and it's more for scaring something off or a problem like that in a situation. And I didn't want to go into details, hey, what happens if something happens with the two of you or something. I'm kind of over it at the point, and I never understand people with that, is why do people always kind of have this weird kind of thing towards a guy with a gun? Because I've had it several times. I know Trevor was there with me, I think, before when it's happened. And I always kind of think about it as like, I'm not running around carrying it running through the brush, but I always wonder, is like, you're the guy that doesn't think I should have a gun, but you're getting all like prissy mad with me because I'm carrying a gun. But I would be the opposite. I just like want to leave the guy with the gun alone. This guy's like, no. And then as soon as I'd mention that it has snake shot, because they make that for those type of situations, which I've rarely ever used it, unlike Frank Augustine. Now it's about snakes. And do I understand rattlesnakes? And I'm like, yes, I understand rattlesnakes. The rodent population would just overrun us. And they're very important to the ecosystem and stuff. But I said, sometimes you get yourself in a situation. And he just didn't want none of this. And he's kind of getting, his wife says, he's just being stupid, honey. Let's just get out of here. And so they go off. Well, there's two of them down the trail. And I said, have a nice day. And he flipped me off as he never turned around. Now, I always kind of sit there and think, I've had a lot more time in the mountains, probably far no more knowledgeable than who he is. And who knows, he could be a fan of this and not even realize that was me. And now give me an angry comment. Who knows, but I don't care. But it's so funny and ironic to me is that he had this personal opinion on everything of me. But I didn't have a problem with anything he was really saying. I thought it was kind of squashing my little kind of bit of nirvana there in the moment. But to each their own. I didn't understand why he needed to get on a soapbox and preach to me in that moment, because I wasn't really interested, and I don't think I ever gave any indication in my body language or anything that I was really interested in what he had to say. It was more of, okay, thank you for seeing if I was okay, and just be on your way and we'll all be good. And I don't know. But that is always to me such an interesting story, because I've run into those types of people in the mountains. And you never judge a book by its cover, and then you also never forget that sometimes some of the stuff that happens back in the mountains is very real true. I mean, the three guys from Utah, Jesse Capens, and the various people, things have happened to people in the mountains. And I always find it funny, these people that are just dismissive of all sorts of stuff. So I always thought that was the most unusual kind of encounter across the trail. And I do believe, like I said, I think we had a similar one later with Trevor a year or two later. And just again, it was always that, to me, it always is that kind of like, I don't quite understand people for like wanting to politically correct things on the trail back in the mountains of all places. But, and it's not about any kind of anger issue or nothing. I just think this is the place, can't you just let that stuff go and run around in your little gym suit and just have a good time? I'm not making fun of what you're wearing, no matter how ridiculous you appear in it and your silly hat. So, I mean, just leave me alone and let me be cool. And so never understand the people also that criticize my smoking. They come up on me, they shoot you the look. They never talk to you. They just give you that look. Like they can't believe you're back here and you just light a cigarette. It's like, damn, can't even light a cigarette on a patio at a bar and grill, but I think I can light one in the back of the mountains. So that's our story for this week. Got another one already lined up for you guys. It's a good one. It was part of actually my lecture this last week, but I will be again at the Superstition Mountain Museum this Thursday at 2 p.m. I said 1 p.m., but it was actually at 2 p.m. And I got there a little early, and then I ended up being there really early, and I visited with Shoes, and I really enjoyed it, and saw Jack Olson out there. It was good to see Jack, and we had a great crowd. I'll have that number next week, because after this week I'll have that number and kind of what the numbers are. But there's a lot of people out there, and I think things went well. I got a few really nice compliments from people I would listen to on the compliments, because people I think are generally, unlike the couple in the mountains, are generally very nice and just want to say nice things. Even if you suck it big time, they still want you to feel good about that. It takes a lot to get up there and do that. So check it out if you get a chance. The Superstition Mountain Museum, 2 p.m. this coming Thursday. And I'll check with Trevor, because I don't know how I'd put my lecture together over several chasing legends, because it takes about 90 minutes. I think it's informative, fun, but we cover almost all that material in this. So probably not something we want to do. We'll give you more updates as we're getting in here through the winter and heading towards spring on the Sunset Project. Keep that in mind, the Sunset Project, and a number of other things. And that'll be about it for this week. So I'm Wayne Tuttle. You're not. And this was Chasing Legends.